So I recently came across this video from 2022 in regards to a cheater in a Yu-Gi-Oh playing card tournament. And as you can see, this individual decides to cheat and add a card to his hand. Now this upset me very much. Some people might be thinking, whoa, Piggy, why do you care about the integrity of a Yu-Gi-Oh card game tournament? I don't, and I resent you for even asking that. What bothers me as a sleight of hand virgin is the pathetic attempt at cheating that's at display here. There's no care, there's no attention, there's no rhyme, there's no reason. You think I've spent 23 years in the virgin arts to watch this pathetic mess in front of me? No. So we're gonna be analyzing this video and showing you how, if you decide to cheat in this way, maybe you could actually get away with it. Now I had to dig through the archives from my old Yu-Gi-Oh playing cards just because I wanted to be able to show you this with the actual sleeves. See, these cards are required to have sleeves. Usually they're opaque, so you really can't read the markings on the back. But this is to show you the technique used similarly to what the guy used in this pathetic display of sleight of hand. You also might be saying to yourself, hey Piggy, you're showing us how to cheat at Yu-Gi-Oh? Aren't you afraid as to what the Yu-Gi-Oh players might say? Listen, all right, let's talk here for a second. I do magic tricks for a living. I deal with disgustingly pipe-armed, skinny, untanned magicians on a day-to-day basis. You think that I'm gonna be afraid of a Yu-Gi-Oh card player? What are you gonna do? You're gonna put me in a little trap hole? Huh? You're gonna activate a trap card on me? I could bench you with one arm. So I don't care. I'm gonna show you how to cheat at Yu-Gi-Oh, or at least do this, but better. And of course, if you're interested in learning sleight of hand magic, I suggest the PigCake Magic Academy. $5 a month gets you access to over 1,300 videos going over card and coin stuff. I offer a free 7-day trial if you look at the link in the description section below. And it's not like I've stopped uploading to the Academy. I upload every single week. So you're always getting new ideas, new videos. There's more content than you could possibly go through. So the first and most important thing that we want to talk about here are the angles. You have to be mindful as to where your angles are. If I have a top-down camera, I'm gonna have to perform the sleight of hand necessary, not only to fool the person in front of me, but also this top camera. So his first rookie mistake was showing the top camera the card that he's about to add into his hand. Of course, the way he does it is a pathetic attempt of sleight of hand. Another thing is that if you are gonna deposit a card on top of your own hand, in Yu-Gi-Oh, of course, you have a hand that you play from. One thing you gotta note is this card is gonna change. Also, the amount of cards you have in your hand is gonna change. So make sure to keep this ambiguous. When you're spreading the cards to yourself, keep a couple towards each other so nobody ever knows how many cards you really have in your hand to begin with. If you're out here showing everybody that you have 7 cards in your hand and then suddenly you have an 8th card, maybe even the most tistic of the crowd is going to figure out that you've added a card to your hand. So the second rule is to keep the amount of cards you have private as long as you can. The other thing, if you haven't noted already, is that I have the same card on the bottom. So I've made sure that somehow through some other maneuvering of the cards, I've made sure that these bottom cards are the exact same. And if not, you want them to be similar. Because if I'm about to deposit a card on top of my hand surreptitiously, which happens to be the name of my favorite stripper, this card is going to change. So you want to make sure that this visual stays the same for any astute viewer. So again, as you see from the video, the way he decides to add it is a very pathetic distraction where he's trying to do something. It's really sad to look at. Here's how I would have taken care of that as a sleight of hand superstar. Maybe for this one, I'm going to use, I know, I'll use Gearfried the Iron Knight. How's that? Is that a good one? Yeah, I'm sure it is because I added the card that I needed directly on top of my hand. Now you notice what you have to see is very minimal. I'm dropping the card, everybody's attention is on the Gearfried. The amount of cards in my hand is not a display for the audience, so it doesn't look like I'm adding anything in particular. And guess what? I've added a needed card to my hand. So first thing you need to know in order to do this is a pinky break. This is a separation between the card and the rest of the deck. This is going to do all the work for you. You're just putting your pinky there to separate that card from the rest of the pack. Now, you don't necessarily need to spread the cards and drop one off like I did in the example. You could just have a card already in display. So in this case, this could be one of your trap cards. Maybe you're looking at it, you put it back down, and in that particular action, I've added a card to my hand. Because of the separation there, all it's going to take is you just dropping your hand momentarily on that card. It's going to fall because of the separation of the cards, and now you're left exactly in the same position as you were before without the need to have to adjust anything. Now, one thing to note is that you have these cards that might be in a messy situation. You want them relatively square so that when you add the card onto your hand, nothing changes because you're adding it presumably with the card squared, and you're also squaring up the card with the packet. It's going to take a little bit of practice. Now, the way that I did this in the actual demonstration itself was that I had these two cards here and I just cut them and kept a little pinky break. You could also use this pinky break to separate halves of the deck. And now, as I'm looking for whatever card I want, oh, look, let's say I happen to find this card over here. I'm going to maybe think twice about it, but all I'm doing here is I'm just going to place it above my two cards that are the same. Now, this is a completely optional step. This is just in case you want to fool maybe a camera that might think, oh, hey, the card changed, so therefore you have to add one to his hand. This is going to mitigate that at least more often than not. So I'm going to take the summon skull and I'm going to place it there as I draw attention away from this over here. This is what's moving. This is what's not. This is not important. Of course, I've taken this opportunity to procure a pinky break right below this trap hole. And now I'm going to drop the summon skull at the same time that I drop that card off on my hand. Of course, all the eyes are here because this is the new information, and ostensibly nothing over here has changed. You see how clean that is compared to whatever pathetic this thing was? Whatever display that really irks me to my deep core. If you're going to cheat, cheat better. Please attempt not to tarnish the good name of sleight of hand virginity with your disgusting, futile attempts at prestidigitation. So this is not an end-all be-all system, but if you're going to add a card to your hand, this is probably one of the better ways to do it. You are mindful of the participant in front of you, as well as the unblinking, unwavering eye of the camera that's recording the game. You gotta have to fool them both. So if you're gonna have to scrounge up the courage to do your little spirit bomb, your Dragon Ball Z spirit bomb of a cheating tactic, make sure that you at least be mindful of both the camera and the participant, because fooling them is not going to be enough. They're pathetic. They have a diet of Doritos and Mountain Dew and Hot Pockets. They're easy to fool. You can just point at a light bulb and go, whoa, light bulb, and they'll go, oh, whoa, a light bulb. And you can do whatever you want, but you have to fool this guy right here. Some advice that I like to give at the end of the video. These are not really any good. These are just a bunch of cards that I put together when I was younger. As you could see, Mystic Elf. Who's going to have a Mystic Elf in their deck? I did, with fucking 800 attack and 2000 defense. Whoa, hey, that's really going to stop anything from happening. Have you seen the way they play Yu-Gi-Oh now? It's one turn. Before, I used to have a little bit of art. Now it's just, I had to get Celtic Guardian in my deck. How pathetic is that? 1400 attack. Anything could be. My grandmother, who's now Ash, could defeat this guy, and I added him to my deck. Why? Because I liked the way it looked. So I got to tell you, my virginity is deep, but at least when it comes to Yu-Gi-Oh, I could probably get laid. I see you again, when I see you again. When I see you again, 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 when I see you again.